Hello, everyone, and welcome back to DSP versus the Internet, episode 61. It is time for the final part, and let us continue. Now, I think the next video might be about Singaporean government.
If
Let's
you're
take a
watching
look.
TV in Singapore, you might see a seemingly random
Oh, that's right. This tiny island is the most densely defended country in the world. This is where I learned that Singapore is the size of New York City.
combination
It says it in the description of the video.
flash up on screen, like bullet head, sea mackerel, and water world. These are military code words designed to be a signal to members of Singapore's reserve troops to mobilize at army bases across the city.
Oh, really?
If that seems unusual for a small, prosperous country that's at peace with its neighbors, that's because it is. A city-state that's around the same size as New York City has built one of the region's most advanced militaries. Here's why this tiny island became one of the most militarized places on Earth. In 2022, Singapore's defense budget was over $11 billion, ranking it per capita among the highest in the world. By comparison, Turkey, a country...
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with the audio, too. I agree. The audio of the video is a little weird, right? It sounds like it's like he's in a closet or he's in a tin can and it's reverberating. It sounds like his recording setup isn't very good.
The landmass...
And this is the Wall Street Journal. The Wall Street Journal made this video a month ago, and it sounds like this.
1,000
what the hell
times
happened?
larger than Singapore, only spent $10 billion.
Singapore is possibly the most densely defended country on the planet, with more troops, tanks, warships, and aircraft per square kilometer than any other country you find in the world.
Boom.
Despite close economic links with China, it has deep defense ties with the US, buying billions of dollars worth of American military equipment.
This is the F-35, one of the most advanced fighter jets in the world.
Singapore has ordered 20 of these planes and will be the first and only country in Southeast Asia allowed to operate these jets. Cementing.
So I'm going to say something because Sid says something in the chat, and he let's address it. He says, "Let's be honest. If a country like China wants to invade Singapore, they would just get steamrolled." Okay, you're right. I mean, how are you going to stop China? But that's not the point. The point of what they do is to deter. They know they can't win a world war against another country, but because they have all this shit in their country, they're basically like, well, we're going to go down, but we'll go down with a fight. So is it really worth it for you to fuck with us when we're going to fucking punch a hole in your fucking armed forces if you come after us? Look at all the shit we have, right? That's the point. It's they know they can't win a big conflict. They're not stupid. They're the size of New York City. But no one's going to fuck with them when they have this much shit in their country. I think that's the point, is deterrence, right?
Singapore's Air Force is the most advanced in the region.
Singapore's drive for military supremacy can be explained through its geography. It's surrounded by much larger neighbors and sits on the Strait of Malacca, Asia's most important shipping corridor and a vital entrance to the South China Sea. Singapore's founding prime minister said that in order for the tiny nation to survive, it would have to become a poisonous shrimp, meaning the island would have a military so powerful that larger powers would think twice before trying to attack.
That's exactly what I just said.
Singapore sees its defense investments as a signal to foreign investors that this place can be defended.
Singapore has spent so much on defense that its military assets now far outweigh many global powers. Its navy is increasing its number of submarines to 8, more than both its much larger neighbors, Malaysia and Indonesia, have combined. The country currently has more than 170 operationally ready tanks. That's more than the United Kingdom, which is the world's 6th largest defense spender. In addition to the latest technology, all Singaporean men serve 2 years of mandatory military service.
The history of small states is that, short of outright aggression, there can be an escalation.
You know what? I realized I got to ask Slayer, did he serve his years? Because every Singaporean has to serve 2 years. I wonder if Slayer, who frequently comes in here and talks about the country he lives in and probably submitted this video, I wonder if he served and what that was like.
Of tension where military force could be used as an instrument of diplomacy to coerce a smaller party or less defended party to abide by your whims.
Singapore is a resource-scarce nation, largely
I really think he recorded this video in a porta potty. It sounds like he's in a porta potty. He's talking into the bowl.
On imports for its water, food, and energy, and its small size puts it at a military disadvantage.
If you want to understand why Singapore is concerned about defending its territory, then you don't have to look any further.
I like that shirt.
This is the Singapore Strait. It's one of the world's busiest shipping lanes, and it also represents Singapore's southern border. And just right over there is the heart of the city. That is the central business district, and that's where all decisions are made.
In military terms, Singapore lacks what's called strategic depth. This means there is little geographic distance between a nation's borders and its critical assets, such as financial centers and offices of state. Singapore's northern border is just 28 kilometers away from the country's southernmost point, meaning its armed forces have little room to maneuver. The country has 4 air bases, but Singapore's airspace is so small that pilots on training missions at some bases have less than a minute after taking off to turn before they enter Malaysia's airspace.
It puts the impetus on the ability to strike hard and to strike fairly far, to keep hostile forces at bay, and, if necessary, to bring the fight to the enemy.
Singapore has tried to counter this strategic weakness by identifying civilian infrastructure that can be repurposed in times of conflict. 2 of its main highways can be converted into runways for jet fighters to land, should military runways be taken out of action. Apartments and houses built after 1997 are required to have personal bomb shelters. And subway stations can be converted into emergency shelters. The government has far-reaching powers to repurpose civilian infrastructure and requisition vehicles, ships, and aircraft during a conflict or crisis.
And I will say this too, because people will watch this and be like, well, aren't they crazy? Why are they doing that? Are they even at odds with anyone? Which it looks like we're about to find out. It says tensions with China, right? But if they're not at odds with anyone, or there's no chance of real war, why would they have this? Because they're ready. They're actually ready for something. Meaning, they know they're small. They don't want to be fucked with. So they prepare. As opposed to so many places, so many human parts of civilization, they don't prepare, and then it's panic mode when shit goes south, right? When stuff goes crazy and topsy-turvy. Oh, now we got to panic and figure out, how do we do this? How do we defend? How do we do this? They're just ready. I mean, they may never have to ever use any of that, but it's all there. So if the worst ever happens, at a moment's notice, they can mobilize, right? Is it better to be prepared or to go panic mode when the burst happens? You know?
Crisis may be fast approaching. In February, Singapore announced it was increasing its defense budget amid concerns that the US and China may go to war over Taiwan.
So I've reversed my assessment for today's generation in Singapore and elsewhere. The risk of regional and even global conflict, even in the next decade, has become non-zero. I do not make this assessment lightly.
Singapore has tried to strike a military balancing act between the 2 powers, conducting joint drills with their Chinese and US counterparts. The US military is allowed to use a port and airbase in Singapore for its activities in the South China Sea, making the island a key transit point for US aircraft carriers operating in the region.
One somewhat doubts that Beijing would sit back and acquiesce if such bases are used to support the American presence in around Taiwan in the event of, let's say, a period.
So basically, they want to be an ally to everyone. They don't want to cause any problems. They just want to be left alone. Respectable? Bart? Don't know. You know, I mean, you can have your own opinion, but okay. All right, let's continue. Interesting. That was an interesting one.
It's time we talk fighting games here on Punching Weight. Now, you think a show with the word punching in the title would cover fighting games a little more often, but this is a celebration of the weird, ambitious, and unnecessary games across all genres. And since this is the first time we're talking fighting games, we gotta start with the biggest and longest running one out there, Street Fighter. There are 4 Street Fighter games that appeared on various Nintendo Game Boy systems, and we're gonna take them all on. Welcome to Punching Weight Street Fighter Game Boy ports.
Oh God.
And a quick shout out to the Dollar Shave Club who helped make this video possible. Stick around to the end of the video to learn how you can get their daily essential starter set.
Dollar Shave Club, who basically sponsored absolutely everyone for a while there. Yeah, 5 years ago. They were sponsoring like every YouTuber at one point. Even they contacted me to do it too, and of course I didn't accept.
SFF. Okay, ring that bell.
Fight. Oh, I did it again. See, good thing that we have it in this playlist.
Club.com.
Yeah.
shocker, Sun L, it's Street Fighter 2 for the original Game Boy. And it is a weird, weird game.
Wow, look
First
how bad that
it was
is.
Released in 1995, which was kinda late to the party. Super NES and Genesis ports all over the place, plus Mortal Kombat had 2 games on the Game Boy already.
Wow.
Hell, this isn't even the first portable Street Fighter if you count the Tiger
Tiger.
Electronic
Yeah, the Tiger
games,
was
which we do
shit. It
'cause
wasn't a
they're
real
awesome.
game, though.
Also, despite the title Street Fighter 2 and borrowing the box art from the original SNES port, this is actually a Frankenstein's Monster of Champion Edition and Super, with little bits of Super Turbo sprinkled.
Really?
I mean, I'm sure people would have been fine with just a port of the original Street Fighter 2 The World Warrior, so going the extra mile for the Game Boy port is actually pretty ambitious. But you'd think they'd want their fans to know that? This game has World Warrior all over the box.
Wow.
The courageous and elite World Warriors. Brawl your way through the World Warrior
They didn't
ranks.
even properly
World
market
Warrior
it.
martial arts action. Like, why are you burying your lead like that? What are you doing? By 95, though, impressive things were being done on the Game Boy, so it's a little shocking how compromised this port is.
Oh my God.
Most notable
Killer
is the
Instinct.
thin roster. E Honda, Dalsim, Vega, and their stages are MIA, leaving only 9 fighters. It's also doubly disappointing to see character portrait art from Super, but not even just one of the new characters from Super. Character-specific endings are also replaced with a simple congratulations screen.
That's it?
As expected, the voice work is gone, but the soundtrack is pretty well represented and sounds great coming from the Game Boy.
Yeah, that's pretty good
soundtrack.
Game Boy
Naturally,
music, you hear that?
gameplay is significantly downgraded as well, but the transition from the arcade's 6 buttons to the Game Boy's 2
Okay,
is
what's hilarious is, Sith just said, how can you even play this? It's so choppy. You realize that this is like how all handheld games were back then, right? Like, seriously, everything on Game Boy was like this. This was just Game Boy. You just had to, it was either this or nothing handheld unless you want a Tiger Electronic game that's a piece of dog shit and not really a video game. So you take this. You take the shit.
done reasonably well. You technically have 4 attacks at your disposal, and how long you hold the button determines if it's a fierce or weak punch or kick. I'm sure you've noticed those graphics. The sprite work is really impressive. Characters are large and detailed, but the animations are jittery and everything moves very slowly. When it comes to the actual gameplay, Street Fighter 2 on Game Boy just doesn't play well.
Ugh.
Controls are unresponsive. Fighters feel...
Why even put Zangief in there? Do you think one person is going to get a spinning pile driver on the Game Boy? He should not be in it. They should have skipped
stiff
him.
thanks to missing frames, and hit detection feels questionable. Pulling off special moves is harder than it should be. Even throwing out normals like Ryu's forward roundhouse or just poking at the exact moment you want can be a challenge. Oh, and while this game does have mirror matches, there are no palette swaps, so...
Oh, God.
I mean, even Game Boy Killer Instinct managed to have like a different shade of gray for the other character.
It looks
On the
worse.
other hand, there are features. We got Super Game Boy compatibility with some nice color
so it had color
backgrounds,
with Super Game
Survivor
Boy.
mode, Link Cable versus mode, and my absolute favorite part, the ability to do 2-player versus through the Super Game Boy on the Super Nintendo.
Oh.
Think about that. What person had a SNES, 2 controllers, cared about Street Fighter, but instead of playing one of the 4 arcade ports, the Game Boy port? There's a word for that kind of person, and that word is hero. It takes a true punching
hero.
to live a life like that because this port is so absolutely unnecessary.
Wow.
Despite this, it maybe sold really well. It did get a Player's Choice re-release, which says million seller right there on the box, but it's not listed on Capcom's Platinum Titles list on their website, so I have my doubts. The facts are Street Fighter 2 really needed to step up to compete with the glut of great fighting games on the Game Boy. There are so many others I'd recommend over
Oh, yeah,
this.
that looks great,
Killer
doesn't
Instinct, Mortal Kombat 2, just about everything that Takara made. In fact, because there are so many fighting games on the system, it allows me to say these words. Primal Rage is better than Street Fighter 2. On the Game Boy, at least. Our next Street Fighter port dropped a full 5 years later. Street Fighter Alpha Warrior's Dreams for the Game Boy Color. Coming to us from Punching Weight Hall of Famers
What the hell? It
Crawfish
looks
Interactive,
worse.
who we'll talk about again in a bit. In contrast to our last title,
It looks
you
worse
can
than
trust
Street
the
Fighter 2
box.
did.
This is only a port of Alpha 1, even though Alphas 2 and 3 had already come out in arcades. And fun fact, it was also advertised with the tragically canceled Resident Evil Game Boy Color.
Oh my God, look at that.
Rest in peace, my sweet prince. Anyway, because this is just a port of the first Alpha game, we get a complete roster this time with all 13
There's more
fighters,
frames of
though
animation.
Bison, Dan, and
There's
Akuma
definitely more
are hidden
frames,
away.
but the game
It
looks
even has
worse. The
all 6
graphics
stages, though it's
are
missing
less
some
defined
of the day-night variants.
than Street Fighter 2
shout out
was.
to our 2 background animations, Cat and Dance Man. Damn, dancing from sunrise to sunset.
Dance Man.
Shine on, Dance Man. Shine on. This version is pretty light on modes. We've got story, practice, and character-specific endings, but no two-player versus of any kind, which is so tragic. My life for Game Boy Color Street Fighter Alpha Evo matches. However, they make up for this in spades in the gameplay department. This port's got the same 2-button 4-attack scheme as Street Fighter II Game Boy, but it's so much more forgiving. It was a revelation playing this game and actually being able to pull off a light kick here or a fierce punch there. Alpha Game Boy Color is day and night to Street Fighter II Game Boy. Very responsive and smooth, with character models that emphasize fluid animation over graphic detail.
What I like is when they jump, it looks like they're jumping 7 streets over. Like they're jumping insanely huge distances. All right, I like this video, but obviously it's because I'm a fighting game fan. We're going to move on now. I don't just want to watch this forever, but that was a good video. I like that.
Okay, the date is June 12th, 2009. This is the last broadcast. 1 minute. This is the last thing broadcasted at Analog TV.
Watch, it's gonna be like porn or something like.
Smith answers viewers' health questions.
This is the last Analog TV broadcast ever.
Next week on WGN Morning News from 5.
Dude, it's 2009. Why do you look like you're from like 1983?
You ready?
Didn't see that one coming.
Okay, ready?
America's Next Top Model, Saturday at 7 on WGN. WGN News Monday. Something's in the air.
He totally looks like he's from 1983. All right, at least he looks like he's from the 90s at least. Are these guys time travelers?
It's gonna go out. Fucking last thing broadcasted on Analog TV was Sex and the City.
Sex and the City is what they were watching? Oh my god. Terrible.
Here comes, it's gonna go black.
What the fuck's on your TV? It's like a stain. What is that? Ew. That's it. The airwaves are dead. Now everything's digital. Is that it? That they just stand there fucking around. Okay. Look at this.
What people will do.
Midnight release of PlayStation 2.
I'm here for the PlayStation 2.
Cool,
Best
bro.
entertainment system to hit the world. It's gonna be great.
This guy's barely conscious.
This
Look
is my
at him.
nephew. My son's on his way. Yeah, actually, it's his birthday present.
It's one of those things you've been waiting for forever. And it comes. One thing.
His hair. I was not a crazy. Here's the thing. Around this time in my life, I was just starting. Well, I was either graduating high school or starting college, and I was in the Street Fighter. So I didn't really care to have PS2 at launch. I got one eventually, but I didn't get it at launch, so I wasn't one of these guys lining up for it or anything.
Yep.
Oh my god, he's got a kitten with him.
It's a next evolution of PlayStation, and they're doing it right from the beginning. Backward compatibility, allowing you to play the old games, so your PlayStation doesn't die. You don't have to buy new game cartridges. SMITTIE, Smith. Yeah.
All right, everybody. Got 15 seconds here. We want to get a countdown from you. Let's go.
Yeah.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5 at a time.
And stick that whenever they bring it up to the register. We'll take care of you over there. How are you doing this evening?
Copy Max? They don't exist
And I
anymore.
understand you were one of like the very first ones.
I've been waiting for a while because I read PlayStation magazines. I mean, I heard the concept of it. Then it said, check your local video game store, see if you can reserve yours. Just having an arcade inside your room, maybe even better than arcade graphics in your room.
Wow. Back when that was a thing.
Seats in the bag, there you go. Enjoy it. Oh, yeah.
Look at the cat on his shoulder.
What do you think?
You gotta.
This guy's shirt says "Up Yours."
They only have one of each other.
Oh, I see. I like Silent Scope, where you play a sniper, so you have to zoom your crosshairs right in on just the right guy, and you got a time limit and all. I played a demo of it.
Oh, the front of the shirt says "Make 7." The back of the shirt says "Up Yours." So make 7 up yours. But that's fucked up because the shirt says "up yours" if you just read the back. So edgy.
I wonder how many of these I can pick up before I max out my card.
I've got.
You gonna be up late tonight?
Oh yeah, I'm probably not gonna sleep. So
You didn't pay $300 when I'm playing today.
yeah.
Controller slam, even though it's attached, still rip it off and slam it.
PlayStation 2. Get the PlayStation. Get this. It's a wonderful piece of machinery. It's my friend. We're both waiting. How you doing? Hey. How you doing?
Why not wait till tomorrow?
You know, it's like camping out for like concert tickets or anything else like that. You know, I mean, why not? You know, get to hang out. You know, see some people that I know. You know, that sort of thing. You know.
There you have it. But those things were prominent. They always had those stands in all the different stores. So, comparison, how strange are you? A 3-minute video saying, how weird are you? This video is based on community discussions and relevant sources. Numbers and facts listed may not be up to date, valid, or in any specific order. So it's baloney. Wait a minute. They're basically saying this isn't based on real research. This video is baloney. Well, then what, do I even want to watch it? Honestly? I'm going to watch a little bit of it, but if it's not factual, then why even waste time? This is stupid then, right? Talking to your pets, laughing without getting the joke, taking photos of every meal. 1 in 9 people take photos of every meal. I find that hard to believe. Reading strangers in your head. I've never done like any of these. Stalking your ex. I've literally never done any of these things that they're mentioning. I mean, I talk to my pets. That's common. But outside of that, having an imaginary argument. Eating the brown part of a banana. Well, if you're hungry, you don't care. Pulling your nose hairs when you're bored. I don't do it when I'm bored. I do it when a nose hair is bothering me. All right, this is a dumb video. I'm not watching this one.
Why did YouTube recommend this to me? Batman talks to you about overcoming your pornography.
Well, we know why that recommended it to me, because someone put it into my feed for this show. Literally, that's been on this show, correct?
How YouTube recommendations can work for some of you. That may be how you stumbled across Little Old Me in the first place. But they can also not work, from being inappropriate to downright insulting, as evidenced from when I went on Twitter and I searched for, why is this in my recommendations? YouTube came out swinging this morning. What the fuck? Recommended for you. How not to be pathetic. Bitch, why is this in my recommended? Why having herpes?
Oh!
Bruh, YouTube, why is this in my recommendations? Using math to find when your dad is coming home.
What?
Why is this in my recommended? To the guy who wants to know why he's lonely and sad again. But it's not just you, Jai, being offended by your recommended. Others from similar tweets I found. Being ugly, my experience, 7 signs you're becoming a toxic friend. Inside the mind of a master procrastinator. Go to the gym. How to clean your penis. Most idols probably hate each other. Well, that's not that personally offensive to be recommended. And you too.
And you too.
Why would you recommend me this? Harp moving. How to load a harp in a vehicle. Why is this in my recommended? 1 hour of silence, occasionally broken up by Lego Yoda death.
That is in my recommended too. And I don't know why. Like, why does that even exist? That actually has been in my recommended. I had a few like that. That was like 1 hour of silence, occasionally broken by some random sound. And I don't know what the point of that is, but yes, that's been in my recommended too.
Sound? YouTube, why was this in my recommendations? I'm a Muslim. Skull emoji! You know, you've been buying the wrong bacon this whole time. Old people explaining their sex life, flushing animal urine out of a heavily soiled rug. The assassination of JFK. Minecraft recreation.
City council meeting for the city of Minot. The date today, of course, being May 16th. 2022.
Recommended? Glub, glub, glub. YouTube, why is this in my recommendations? This guy's tiny nipple is smaller than a 5p coin. This is driving me mad.
Oh my god.
Why was this in my recommended?
What the fuck?
Why is this in my recommended YouTube videos? Lizard dancing to Lady, Hear Me Tonight. But at the same time, Obviously, I'm watching it. Why was this in my recommended? What if Among Us was a subject at school? Never have I hated looking at something this much. I'm flying in 3 days. Why, oh why, would YouTube recommend this to watch? Giant plane slides off the runway.
God.
Now, why would YouTube recommend me this at 11:41 p.m.? This man will enter your home and watch you sleep. Why the hell would you...
That's good. This man follows you home and watches you sleep while you're about to go to sleep. Oh my God. All right, some of these are genuinely hilariously good. I guess this will be the video we finish with this week.
Recommend these two things to me next to each other, YouTube? The best and most famous pad thai. Mealworms versus whole
Oh, and we saw that, didn't we? Didn't we see that mealworm video? I think we did. Oh, God.
YouTube? Who is this in my recommended? Huh? That's me. Oh, it's a joke. It's definitely a joke. It's like the title of this video. That's fine.
Oh, it's him?
This is my recommendation. Quick 4-minute fix for a neck hump. 10 hours of crying baby. How to go to hell in every religion. Sexy Ed Miliband on ITV's This Morning. A 06U9 Rookamall. 25 nib 29 naboo. 29 to tube of 8 zan. 90 ripple.
It's a good one. 101,000 views.
Damn, does 91. 39 2 Hook Maloo. How do pregnancy tests work? Why is this on my recommended? Why is this in my recommendations? Sudge. Spiders on drugs.
I saw that video.
That sounds amazing. I'm going to be watching that later.
I saw that video. That's a popular one. That they would hit a spider with drugs. But isn't that the comedy video? I think we saw it on the show, didn't we? It's a comedy video. It's not serious.
In my recommended, Liam Dutton nails pronouncing Clanviapeth, Gwyngethagareth, Windrobethlan to Cilia Gogogoch. Why is this in my recommended? Waft your cadge fella fuck fun. ASMR of the Grinch eats a raw onion.
What?
Why is this in my recommended? Fub duck dubba DJ dubba fun fubbuck. School nurse lice check ASMR.
ASMR?
Chill, suffocating you to death session.
Oh yeah. A chill suffocating you to death session. That's what I think about. When I think about chill sessions is someone just killing me. Oh, that's great.
10 hours of soothing, relaxing, meditating Vietnam War sounds. ASMR, seeing the gynecologist.
Oh my God, this is fucking getting disgusting. This ASMR shit,
Me
dude.
this? Feeling very
Come on.
insulted. All I watch are ASMR and music's vids. How to easily overcome social anxiety. Why is this in my YouTube recommended? All I watch is K-pop. Seal farts after looking directly at me. Why is this in my recommendations when all what I watch is fluid mechanics lectures? Does masturbation break the fast?
What?
Well, that's fluid mechanics in a sense. 7 ways to shave your butt. Why were the Nazis so stylish? Would you fucking alien? How to sell pictures of your feet. How to skin, debone, and flesh out an alligator.
Oh my
How to
God.
emergency surgical cricothyrotomy. How wormholes ended Wormworld. Why is this in my recommended? What does this mean? What is Wormworld? Where am I? Why is this in my recommendations? YouTube, you okay, bud? Yeah. Why would YouTube recommend this to me? How to disappear completely without a trace.
And never be found.
This in my recommended videos.
Wow.
Why you shouldn't fear death. Wait, why was this in my recommended? LaMaFeo. How to say life is meaningless and we're all gonna die. In Polish.
In Polish, it's a video. 2.1 million views for that. Oh.
GCSE era. Don't see this as a personal attack, because I found actually loads of people were recommended this particular phrase in Polish. Meanwhile, the only one I saw recommended for British English was, why is this in my recommendations? The pronunciation guide for cock.
That's it.
Given THC,
Oh, here it is.
the active ingredient in marijuana, the spider didn't build a web. It built a hammock.
A few months ago.
Oh, okay. That's it. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for another another amazing week of DSP versus the internet. I hope you enjoyed the show. I mean, the wild variety of clips being submitted for this show is unprecedented at this point. I mean, we saw so much crazy stuff. One important thing, I got a recommendation that moving forward for this show, when I upload this show into individual parts on YouTube, instead of doing it as a description of the video, I just pick the one clip that I feel is the standout clip and I title it that. So for example, for this final part, I mean, what did we watch? We watched the PS2 launch, but you know, maybe it should be just inappropriate YouTube video recommendations. That should just be the title of the video. Now there's other content in it, right? But we should, I think that's what I'm thinking, is that I just title each video one name. That's the catch to get to watch the video, but there's other stuff in it too. That way, because what's happening is the titles of these videos are very bloated with like 5-6 topics kind of crammed in, and people are basically saying that the titles are very cluttered and they don't catch the eye. So that's what I'm going to do start moving forward, is pick the one thing that happens in each one of these videos. And so each part will only have one part, one thing mentioned, but there's a lot more in each video. Okay? I hope that makes sense. All right. So anyway, guys, thank you so much. Great show. Remember, if you want to be a part of this fun, become a member today and you can submit videos for next week. Sounds good? Thank you all. Thanks for watching. See you next time.